So picture this. You are sitting across a table in a pretty high pressure situation.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Right. Maybe it is a manager in a really high stakes job interview, or maybe you were on a very important first date.
Oh, that is definitely high pressure.
Exactly. So you are nervous, but you feel ready. You have practiced your English.
You've got your flashcards memorized.
Yes. But then the other person leans forward, they look you right in the eyes, and they ask one simple question. They just say, "What are your goals?"
Oh, man. It is a question that it completely changes the temperature of the room.
It really does.
The moment those words hang in the air, the pressure just spikes. And if you are learning a new language, this is usually the exact second where everything you know completely evaporates.
Every single English word you have ever learned just vanishes from your brain.
Oof, gone.
Gone.
Well, welcome to our deep dive. Today, we are exploring a really fascinating educational guide. It's called Articulating Your Ambitions, English for Goals and Dreams. It's a great resource.
It really is. And the mission of this deep dive is very, very specific. We are looking at how to equip you, especially if you are a beginner English learner, with the natural, correct phrases to talk about your future.
Right. We want to give you the exact tools.
Exactly. We want to help you talk about everything from, your daily habits to your ultimate life dreams. And we want you to do it without freezing up and without sounding unnatural.
Which is huge. We are focusing on practical, real-world English here.
Yes, the English people actually use.
Right. And because the target audience for this source material is beginner learners, we are going to intentionally pace this conversation to be highly accessible.
Nice and easy to follow.
Exactly.
Mhm.
We're going to use very clear vocabulary, avoid overly complex or, confusing idioms, and we will make sure to clearly emphasize the most important English phrases.
So you can easily follow along and practice right alongside us.
Yeah, we want you to understand the actual mechanics behind these phrases.
Because we want to unpack not just what words to say, but why we say them. Talking about your future it's rarely just about exchanging information.
No, it's much deeper than that.
Right. It is about connection. It is how you signal to the world who you are, what you value, and, well, where you are going.
And when you lack the tools to do that, you feel incredibly isolated.
You really do. And the guide we are looking at today, it actually begins by addressing this very specific psychological wall. They call it the freeze.
The freeze, it's a universally understood phenomenon in language learning.
Oh, absolutely.
And the source material points out that the real tragedy of the freeze is not a lack of intelligence,
Right.
and it is not a lack of ambition either.
Mm.
People usually have a crystal clear vision of what they want inside their own minds.
They know exactly what their goals are.
Exactly. The panic comes entirely from the gap between the complexity of their internal thoughts and the limitations of their external vocabulary.
It's just that disconnect.
Right. When you realize you cannot accurately express your internal world, your brain essentially triggers a threat response.
Like a fight or flight thing.
Exactly. You just freeze.
The guide shares a story that, honestly, it illustrates this perfectly. So there was an English student who was having a coffee chat with her manager.
Ooh, a coffee chat.
Right. It sounds casual, but anyone who has ever worked in a corporate environment knows that a coffee chat with a manager
It's just
is
an informal interview.
exactly, it's a trap. You are absolutely being evaluated.
The stakes are incredibly high in those informal moments
Hmm.
because you are trying to balance being relaxed with being deeply impressive.
Yes, that is the hardest balance to strike.
Yeah.
So she is sitting there trying to maintain this professional, relaxed posture, and the manager asks her about her 5-year plan.
A huge question.
A massive question. He wants to know her career goals for the next half decade. It requires a really nuanced, strategic answer.
Right. You have to show vision.
But the pressure hits her. The freeze takes over, and she just blurts out, "I want to work."
Oh, no. I want to work.
Yeah, I want to work.
It is a devastating moment, mostly because of how much it flattens her actual potential.
Right. It makes her sound so much less capable than she is.
The guide notes that this specific student had beautifully detailed career dreams. She had a real strategic vision for her life.
But the words just weren't there.
Exactly. Because she did not have the specific conversational vocabulary, she was reduced to making a statement that sounds almost childlike.
It's entirely true. I mean, she does want to work,
Yeah,
but it communicates absolutely nothing about her ambition
nothing at all.
or her unique skills or her drive. It really makes me think about the mechanics of limitation.
How do you mean?
Well, it is like having this incredibly vivid, complex picture in your mind. Say you are visualizing a stunning, multicolored sunset over the ocean.
Okay, I can picture that.
You can see the exact shades of purple and gold, right?
Yeah.
But when you reach out to draw it on paper to show someone else, you look down and you realize you only have 3 basic crayons. Like you only have brown, black, and gray.
That captures the frustration perfectly. The failure is not in the vision. It is entirely in the tool.
Exactly. You cannot draw a dynamic sunset with a gray crayon.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
And you cannot express a complex 5-year career strategy with the phrase, I want to work.
It just doesn't do it justice.
Right. So the goal of the source material we are exploring today is to hand you, the learner, a completely new box of colors.
I love that. We are going to provide the exact phrases needed to paint that picture accurately.
And, it's important to remember that going blank is a normal part of the process.
Oh, totally normal. Everyone does it.
But the guide suggests that the way to overcome the freeze is through strategic memorization, memorizing very specific, highly natural phrases.
Because once you have these structures ready in your mind, you do not have to invent them under pressure.
Exactly. You just pull them out and use them.
It takes all the stress out of it.
It does. And the source material organizes these phrases by climbing what they call the goal ladder.
The goal ladder. Okay.
Right. Starting with the lowest stakes and moving upward. So the easiest place to start, and the place where we can begin expanding this vocabulary, is with daily small goals.
Right, because we do not always need a massive 10-year plan.
Exactly. Often the ambition we need to communicate is just, drinking more water.
Or reading a few pages of a book.
Or finding time to go to the gym.
But even with these tiny daily goals, learners fall into a very specific trap, don't they?
They really do. We put so much psychological weight on the concept of a goal that we end up using language that is entirely inappropriate for the situation.
Like too heavy.
Exactly. Learners often try to make their daily tasks sound way too epic.
Epic. Yes.
When you are learning a language, there is a temptation to reach for the biggest, most formal dictionary words you know.
Because you want to sound smart. You want to sound competent.
Right. But in native, everyday English, this backfires completely.
It sounds so weird. The guide actually offers a hilarious example of this overcompensation.
Oh, the supermarket one.
Yes. So a student was trying to explain their plans for the afternoon, and they said, "My destiny today is to visit the supermarket."
My destiny.
My destiny.
It completely changes the scale of the sentence.
It sounds like the voiceover for a dramatic movie trailer, right? Like you expect the person to grab a sword before they go buy milk.
Exactly. The word destiny implies a cosmic, unavoidable fate.
Right. It is the ultimate purpose of your existence.
And using it to describe a Tuesday afternoon grocery run is, well, it's so mismatched that it sounds absurd.
It's hilarious, but you can see exactly why they did it.
Oh, for sure. And this is a crucial lesson in language acquisition. Fluency is not about using the biggest words.
Right.
It is about using the most appropriate words for the context.
Context is everything. So, to fix this tendency to sound epic, the guide provides a set of simpler, softer verbs.
The verbs that native speakers actually use for daily habits.
So, what are the primary phrases the guide suggests for these softer daily goals?
Well, the foundation starts with phrases like I aim to or I plan to.
I aim to and I plan to.
Okay. These are incredibly useful because they are neutral. If you say, I plan to go to the supermarket, you remove all the drama.
No swords required.
Right. It's just a stated intention. But the guide highlights another phrase as the absolute most natural, casual phrase a learner can use.
What is that one?
The phrase is, I am trying to.
I am trying to. Let's look at how that is used in a sentence. You could say, I'm trying to wake up earlier, or I am trying to read 10 pages every night.
Perfect examples.
But, this brings up a massive psychological hurdle for a lot of people.
It does.
If I'm in a conversation and I say, I am trying to, doesn't that immediately imply that I'm failing?
That's the worry. Yeah.
It feels like it lacks confidence. Like if I say I am trying to wake up earlier, it sounds like I am actually hitting the snooze button every single day.
That is the exact hesitation many learners have. They avoid trying to
Yeah.
because they think it projects weakness or failure.
Right.
But the source material clarifies a very important cultural nuance regarding everyday English here.
Okay, what is the nuance?
Saying, I am trying to, does not signal failure. It signals casual, ongoing effort.
Ongoing effort.
Yes. Native speakers use it constantly because it sounds perfectly human.
It takes the pressure off.
Exactly. It acknowledges that a habit is a work in progress. It makes you sound approachable and grounded rather than, robotic or overly intense.
That distinction changes everything. So trying to is actually a tool for connection, not an admission of defeat.
Exactly. It shows you are in the middle of a process.
Okay, I love that. What else does the guide offer for these daily scenarios?
Another highly effective structure is, my goal right now is to.
My goal right now is to.
For example, my goal right now is to save up for a new laptop.
Okay.
The brilliance of this phrase is the addition of right now. It instantly grounds the ambition in the present moment.
It keeps it from sounding too big.
Exactly. It tells the listener exactly what is occupying your attention and resources today without making it sound like a lifelong quest.
It creates a boundary. It says, this is what matters to me currently, which honestly makes it a very easy conversation starter.
It really does.
Like if someone tells me their goal right now is to save for a laptop, I can immediately ask them what kind of laptop or what they need it for.
It naturally opens the door for follow-up questions.
It's so smooth.
It is. And for situations where you want to show a bit more dedication to a specific project, the guide recommends the phrase, I am focusing on.
I am focusing on.
Right. You might say, I am focusing on improving my English pronunciation.
Now that has a very different energy than trying to.
It does.
Focusing on sounds much more intentional. It tells the other person that you are dedicating real mental energy to this specific task.
It demonstrates serious dedication, but without sounding dramatic.
It is the perfect middle ground. So by replacing dramatic words like destiny with these softer phrases like, I plan to, I am trying to, my goal right now is to, and I am focusing on, we build a foundation of natural, comfortable daily English.
We establish the baseline.
Right. We know how to talk about our habits and our daily routines casually, but as we know, the environment often dictates the vocabulary.
Absolutely.
The casual language of a coffee shop does not always survive the transition into a formal environment.
No, it does not.
The guide moves us from these soft daily goals straight into the high-pressure ecosystem of the workplace and the job interview.
Career plans introduce an entirely different set of sociolinguistic rules.
It's a whole different game.
It is. In professional settings, the anxiety learners feel often manifests in a completely different mistake.
What do?
Well, instead of becoming overly epic, they become far too direct.
Oh, interesting.
When the brain is panicked, it strips away all the polite, softening words and just delivers the raw, blunt truth.
It goes into survival mode.
Exactly.
The source material provides another, frankly, painful anecdote to illustrate this. There is a story of a friend who was interviewing for a major promotion at his company.
A really big deal for him.
Huge deal. So he is sitting across from the interview panel. They ask him what he wants to achieve in the company.
Standard question.
Very standard. But he is nervous, his English vocabulary shrinks, and he just says, I want more money.
Oh, wow. It is a shocking thing to hear in a formal interview.
Just, I want more money.
It's so blunt.
It is brutally honest. And the reality is, almost everyone interviewing for a promotion wants more money.
Of course they do.
But stating it that directly violates the unwritten rules of corporate communication.
It really does. In Western professional culture, ambition is expected to be framed around mutual benefit, growth and adding value to the organization.
Right. It has to sound like a win-win.
Exactly. When you just say, I want more money, you sound entirely self-serving.
Yeah.
It comes across as greedy rather than ambitious.
Which is so sad because he was just a victim of his limited vocabulary.
Completely. He likely meant that he wanted to advance his career, take on more complex challenges, and be compensated for that higher level of contribution.
Right. A totally normal career progression.
But without the nuanced phrasing to express that complex idea, his brain just output the most basic, literal translation of his desire: more money.
So how do we equip a learner to navigate this? What are the key phrases that communicate professional ambition without sounding selfish or blunt?
The guide offers a powerful replacement for the phrase, I want.
Okay, what is it?
In a professional setting, you should use, I am working towards.
I am working toward.
Right. For example, instead of saying, I want a management position, you say, I am working towards a management position.
That sounds so much better.
Or, I am working towards getting my professional certification.
The psychological difference between those two phrases is massive.
It really is night and day.
I want sounds demanding. It sounds like you expect the world to just hand you something on a silver platter.
Exactly. But I am working towards implies an ongoing journey of effort.
It tells the manager that you already have a strategy in place.
Right? You are not just asking for a title. You are actively building the skills to earn it.
It sounds mature and proactive.
It shifts you from a passive wanter to an active achiever.
That is a great way to put it.
Another highly effective, polite phrase for the workplace is, I hope to.
I hope to.
For instance, I hope to take on more responsibility in the coming year.
That strikes a wonderful balance. It is incredibly polite, but it still clearly states your ambition.
You are showing that you want to grow, but you are framing it respectfully.
But, this brings up a much more difficult professional scenario.
What's that?
What if your goal is not a promotion? What if your goal is to leave the company entirely?
Yes.
How do you express the desire to quit without burning bridges or sounding negative?
This is where language becomes an exercise in diplomacy.
Diplomacy is hard in a second language.
It is. The guide introduces a critical vocabulary word for this exact situation. Transition.
Transition.
Instead of saying, I want to quit or I am leaving, you say, I am planning to transition into the tech industry.
Or, I am looking to transition into a new role.
Exactly.
Transition is such a smooth, frictionless word. Why does it work so much better than simply saying you want to quit or find a new job?
The guide emphasizes a fundamental psychological rule of professional communication here.
Okay.
You must always focus on what you are moving toward, not what you are running away from.
Wow, that is a profound insight.
It's crucial.
If you say, I want to quit, the energy is entirely focused on the past and your current dissatisfaction. It sounds like you are escaping.
And it makes people defensive.
It really does. But if you say, I am planning to transition, the energy is entirely focused on the future.
Right. A transition is a natural, logical evolution.
It frames your departure not as a rejection of your current employer, but as a necessary step in your own personal growth.
It completely disarms the listener. You are evolving, not abandoning.
It's brilliant. Now, beyond quitting and promotions, there is the most infamous interview question of all.
I think I know what you're going to say.
The 5-year timeline. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Everyone dreads that question.
It is awful because it demands that you predict the future while sounding perfectly rational.
It's a tough balance. But the guide provides two distinct structural phrases to answer this elegantly.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first addresses the journey. In the long term, I would like to.
In the long term, I would like to.
Right. You could say in the long term, I would like to run my own team.
That manages expectations beautifully. By starting with, in the long term, you acknowledge that you understand this will take time.
You aren't demanding to run a team tomorrow.
Right. You are showing patience alongside your ambition.
Precisely. The second phrase is for the absolute peak of your career vision.
The top of the mountain.
Exactly. You say, my ultimate goal is to.
My ultimate goal is to.
For example, my ultimate goal is to open a small business.
The word ultimate carries so much gravity.
It really does.
It signals to the listener that this is the final destination. It shows that you are capable of thinking on a macro level about your life.
So, if we review, we now have a highly sophisticated professional toolkit.
We do. We know how to frame our effort with working towards.
We know how to respectfully state our desires with hope to.
We know how to diplomatically leave a job using transition.
And we know how to map our future with long-term and ultimate goals.
It is a vocabulary built purely on logic, structure, and professional courtesy.
Which is exactly what you need in an office.
But, human life cannot be entirely contained within the walls of an office.
Thankfully, no.
Logic and structure only take us so far. Eventually, we have to talk about the things that have no economic value but hold immense personal value.
We have to talk about matters of the heart.
Yes. The guide transitions from career plans into the territory of big dreams. The passions that light a fire inside of us, like traveling the world or writing a novel or learning an instrument.
Now, this requires a complete shift in tone.
Totally different.
The logical phrasing of the workplace fails here. The source material warns that the biggest mistake learners make when discussing their deepest passions is using language that lacks emotional resonance.
It's too dry. Like if you are talking about a lifelong dream and you simply say, I want to go to Italy, it falls flat.
Grammatically, it is a perfect English sentence.
True, but emotionally, it is hollow. It carries the exact same weight as saying, I want to eat a sandwich.
Exactly. It does not communicate to the listener that this is a dream you hold deep in your soul.
So how do we fix that? To inject that necessary emotional power, the guide introduces a highly expressive phrase.
What is the phrase?
It has always been my dream to.
It has always been my dream to.
So, it has always been my dream to visit Italy. The architecture of that sentence is so different.
It stretches backward in time.
Yes, it has always been. You are telling the listener that this isn't just a passing thought you had yesterday.
This is a desire that has lived inside you for years.
And the guide notes that hearing a phrase like this often gives the listener goosebumps.
That physical reaction on the skin.
Right. It happens because sincerity is universally moving.
When you use a phrase like, it has always been my dream to, you are making yourself vulnerable.
You really are. You are sharing a piece of your core identity, and that kind of authenticity creates an immediate visceral connection with the person listening.
It elevates the conversation from a casual exchange of facts to a meaningful human connection.
It's beautiful. What's another phrase they suggest for this level of passion?
Another phrase the guide suggests is, I would absolutely love to.
I would absolutely love to.
For instance, I would absolutely love to learn to play the piano.
The modifier absolutely does a lot of heavy lifting there.
It really does. It takes a standard preference and turns it into a joyful declaration.
It just sparkles with genuine enthusiasm.
It does. Now, in this section on big dreams, the source introduces a very specific cultural concept that is vital for learners to understand.
Ah, yes. They discuss the bucket list.
The bucket list. It is a cornerstone concept in modern English communication.
It really is everywhere. So culturally, a bucket list is a personal inventory of all the major, exciting, or profound experiences you want to have before the end of your life.
Right, before you kick the bucket, which is where the idiom originates.
Exactly. It is a catalog of your ultimate life priorities. When you use this phrase in a sentence, like saying, going on an African safari is at the top of my bucket list, you are utilizing a powerful cultural shorthand.
You don't have to explain why it matters or how much you want it.
Exactly. The moment you invoke the concept of the bucket list, the native speaker instantly understands the scale and the gravity of the goal.
It communicates that this is a non-negotiable life experience for you.
However, this brings up a deeply psychological barrier that the guide explores.
Yes, the fear factor.
Right. Even when learners know these expressive phrases, even when they know the term bucket list, they frequently refuse to use them.
They keep their big dreams hidden.
Because the fear of judgment is paralyzing.
It is. Big dreams, by their very nature, often sound slightly irrational or impossible.
If you work in an office and you tell someone, it has always been my dream to write a novel, you open yourself up to skepticism.
People might question your talent or tell you how hard the publishing industry is.
Exactly. So to protect the dream, we keep it a secret.
We choose the safety of silence over the vulnerability of expression.
The source material shares a profoundly moving anecdote about this exact fear.
The Baker story.
Yes, the baker. So there was an English student who harbored a secret ambition. She didn't want to work in an office. She'd always wanted to be a professional baker.
She wanted to create beautiful bread and pastries for her community.
But she was terrified to say it out loud. She felt it sounded unrealistic, so she trapped the dream entirely inside her own mind.
She refused to use her newly learned English vocabulary to share it with anyone.
But the guide explains that she finally reached a point where she gathered the courage to speak the words.
She used her English to articulate the dream out loud to another person.
And the result was transformative. According to the source, the act of vocalizing the dream changed her reality. Once she said it out loud, she found the actual real-world courage to pursue it. She eventually went out and opened a small bakery.
It's an amazing story.
It is, and the core takeaway here is that articulating your goals in a new language is not just an academic exercise to improve your grammar.
No, it is a psychological mechanism for self-actualization.
Language is the bridge between the conceptual world of your mind and the physical world of reality.
Right. When a dream remains unspoken, it stays small and abstract.
But when you apply vocabulary to it, when you say, it has always been my dream to open a bakery, you pull it out of your imagination and make it a tangible, solid thing in the real world.
You give it mass.
You give it mass. I love that. Now, we have spent a lot of time exploring the psychology and the emotional weight of these phrases.
We have.
But the guide also provides a highly practical, mechanical breakdown of the vocabulary itself.
They dedicate a section to what they call pocket words.
Pocket words.
Right. The essential high-utility nouns and verbs that you need to keep in your pocket, to carry with you every single day.
These are the structural pillars of goal-setting vocabulary.
Exactly. Yeah. And understanding the precise definitions and the subtle boundaries between these words is what separates a beginner from an advanced speaker.
Let's examine these pocket words. The first one is the anchor for everything we are discussing. Goal.
We use it constantly.
We do. But what is the strict operational definition of a goal?
A goal is defined as a specific result that a person actively works toward achieving.
Actively works toward.
Right. The key word in that definition is actively.
Right.
A goal is not a passive wish or a daydream.
It requires a dedicated sequence of actions. Like if you say, my goal is to run a marathon, that means you are actively training and preparing for that outcome.
Exactly. It implies a structured effort.
Okay, the second pocket word is very similar, but it operates on a different scale. The word is aim. Now, I hear people use goal and aim interchangeably all the time, but there is a nuanced difference in how they function, isn't there?
There is a distinct semantic difference. Aim comes from the physical action of pointing a weapon or a tool at a target.
Like aiming an arrow.
Exactly. When you use it abstractly, to aim means to direct your immediate efforts toward a specific, often shorter-term target.
So a goal is the overarching destination, while an aim is the daily or weekly directional focus.
Right. You might have the goal of mastering English, but you aim to finish one chapter of your textbook tonight.
That is a highly clarifying distinction. The goal is the mountain peak. The aim is where you place your foot for the next step.
That's a perfect metaphor.
Okay, our third pocket word is the one we explored for diplomacy. Transition.
Transition represents a change from one state, condition, or role to another.
And what makes this word so valuable is that it inherently implies a smooth, managed process.
It is not an abrupt break or a chaotic end.
Right. It is a calculated evolution.
The fourth concept in the pocket is our cultural touchstone, the bucket list.
The personal inventory of lifetime priorities.
Yes, and that leads directly to the fifth and final pocket word. It is the verb that brings all of this together. Achieve.
Achieve.
To achieve is to successfully complete something or reach a desired standard, specifically through hard work, skill, or courage.
So you do not achieve something by accident or by luck.
No, if you win the lottery, you did not achieve wealth, you just received it.
Right. But if you study for 4 years and pass a difficult exam, you achieved that certification.
Achievement requires friction. It requires effort.
Okay, so we have our core lexical tools in our pocket: goal, aim, transition, bucket list, and achieve.
And from there, the guide moves into a fascinating practical exercise they call smoothing it out,
Smoothing it out. This is where we look at the mechanics of translation.
and why literal translations from a native language into English often sound incredibly awkward.
Oh, this happens all the time. It is the process of taking a grammatically correct but clunky sentence and refining it into natural idiomatic English.
Because when learners rely on direct translation, they often create sentences that are technically accurate but culturally misaligned.
Let's analyze the first clunky sentence provided in the source.
Okay.
A student is trying to communicate that they are working on a simple daily habit, and they say, I make strong effort to drink water.
I make strong effort to drink water.
It's so stiff.
It is.
Yes.
Every word in that sentence makes logical sense. The grammar is functional.
But the level of formality is completely wrong for the context.
It sounds robotic. Strong effort is language you might use in a legal document or a performance review.
Right. Applying it to drinking a glass of water creates a bizarre contrast. It sounds like a machine trying to mimic human behavior.
So, to smooth this out, we apply the foundational phrase we learned for daily habits.
A native speaker would simply say, I am trying to drink more water.
Exactly. It completely removes the stiffness and returns the sentence to a casual human register.
Okay, let's look at a clunky sentence from the professional sphere.
Let's hear it.
A learner is asked about their career trajectory, and they respond, my future wish is to be a boss.
Oh, there are two distinct issues with my future wish is to be a boss.
What's the first one?
First, the phrase future wish sounds entirely passive.
It evokes the image of blowing out birthday candles or wishing upon a star.
Right. It implies you are waiting for the universe to grant you a position rather than earning it.
And the second issue.
Second, the word boss in modern corporate English often sounds overly simplistic or even slightly adversarial.
It lacks professional polish. It sounds a bit like a cartoon character.
It does. To fix this, we deploy our structural career phrasing.
So we smooth it out by saying, my long-term goal is to become a manager.
Perfect. My long-term goal is to become a manager replaces passive wishing with strategic planning.
And it replaces the colloquial boss with the professional manager.
Much better.
The third clunky sentence is a perfect example of translation gone wrong.
These are always interesting.
A student wants to express that they are working intensely on a task, and they say, I put my brain on this project.
Oh, wow. This is a classic literal translation.
It is. In many languages, expressing mental effort involves a physical metaphor of moving the mind.
But in English, I put my brain on this project creates a jarring, almost surgical mental image.
It literally sounds like you removed your brain from your skull and placed it on top of your keyboard.
It is highly distracting.
Very distracting. So to smooth this out, we use the specific phrase designed for dedication.
We say, I'm really focusing on this project right now.
Focusing on effectively communicates intense mental dedication without the bizarre anatomical imagery.
Exactly. Keep the brain inside the head.
Please. Now, the final sentence in this exercise addresses our big dreams.
Okay.
A student wants to talk about traveling, and they say, I have a big fantasy to visit Paris.
Fantasy.
Let's analyze this carefully, because on the surface, fantasy seems like a beautiful, evocative word. Why is it incorrect to use fantasy when talking about visiting Paris?
The distinction lies in the strict boundaries of English vocabulary regarding reality.
Okay, explain that.
The word fantasy is reserved for things that are fundamentally impossible, entirely fictional, or completely removed from physical reality.
Like dragons.
Right. Flying like a bird without wings is a fantasy. Time travel is a fantasy.
Ah, I see. But Paris is a physical location on a map.
Exactly. You can purchase a ticket and fly there. Because it is achievable, it cannot be a fantasy.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Using fantasy implies you believe you will never actually go.
It diminishes the possibility.
So to smooth it out and keep it anchored in reality while still maintaining emotional power, we use our phrase for the heart.
It has always been my dream to visit Paris.
A fantasy is an escape from reality, but a dream is a blueprint for the future.
That is a brilliant linguistic distinction.
We have spent this deep dive gathering a massive inventory of tools. We understand the psychology, the cultural nuances, and specific phrasing.
But knowing the phrases in isolation is only half the battle.
Right, you have to know how to sequence them in real time.
To demonstrate this, the final section of the source material deconstructs a practice scenario.
They analyze a simulated conversation to show how these phrases flow organically.
The scenario is two friends catching up over lunch, discussing their plans for the upcoming year.
This is the ultimate test of natural English. It isn't a structured interview. It is the chaotic, flowing reality of a social interaction.
And the guide points out that a successful conversation about ambitions follows a very specific trajectory.
They refer to it as climbing the goal ladder.
The goal ladder. The concept of the goal ladder dictates the pacing of intimacy in a conversation.
Pacing of intimacy. Okay.
You do not begin a casual catch-up by immediately dumping your deepest, most profound life ambitions onto the table.
Right, you have to warm up the interaction. You start on the lowest rung of the ladder.
If we sit down for lunch, and before we even order our food, I stare at you and say, my ultimate goal is to conquer the tech industry.
It disrupts the social equilibrium. It is way too intense, too quickly.
Exactly. The conversation in the guide begins much more softly at the level of daily habits.
The first friend opens by saying, I've been trying to focus on my daily habits lately.
There is our foundational language. Trying to focus.
The other friend asks for specifics, and the response is, my goal right now is to wake up earlier.
It is incredibly low stakes. Waking up earlier is a relatable, simple aim.
And the second friend meets them on that exact same rung of the ladder and replies, I aim to read more.
They are establishing a rhythm by treating small, manageable daily goals.
But once that comfortable baseline is established, the conversation naturally elevates.
They move to the middle rung of the ladder, their professional lives.
This is where identity becomes more pronounced. One friend asks about the other's job at a design agency, and the professional vocabulary is seamlessly introduced.
The friend says, in the long term, I'm working towards opening my own freelance business.
They deploy two complex structures simultaneously. In the long term and working towards.
It shows they have a strategic plan for their livelihood.
And the response from the friend is equally sophisticated. I didn't know you wanted to transition out of the agency.
Notice how the friend uses the word transition.
Right. Even in a casual conversation between friends, they avoid the bluntness of the word quit.
They use the positive, forward-thinking language of professional evolution.
It proves that these polished phrases are not just for interviews. They are the natural way native speakers frame career movement.
Absolutely. So, having successfully navigated daily habits and career strategies, the trust in the conversation has deepened.
They have climbed high enough to reach the top of the ladder. They are now ready to share the things that carry real emotional weight.
The conversation peaks with their big dreams.
The first friend shifts the tone and says, it has always been my dream to run my own company and travel while I work.
It has always been my dream, too.
It feels earned at this point in the conversation, doesn't it?
It does. They didn't lead with it. They built the context to support it.
And the second friend matches that profound energy by revealing their own ultimate priority. Moving to Spain is at the top of my bucket list.
At the top of my bucket list.
By analyzing this flow, we see the complete architecture of a natural conversation.
They moved from a simple alarm clock to a massive international relocation.
And because they climbed the ladder step by step, using the exact right phrases for each level, none of it felt jarring or unnatural.
This is the ultimate takeaway for anyone navigating English as a second language.
The goal is not just grammatical accuracy, the goal is conversational fluency.
By utilizing these specific phrases in this specific sequence, talking about your future ceases to feel like a high-wire act of translation.
It stops feeling like a robotic recitation or a panicked scramble for
It
words.
just becomes an exciting, confident exchange of ideas.
You are no longer restricted by the limitations of your vocabulary. You have the tools to accurately reflect the complexity of your internal world.
It's empowering.
We have covered an immense amount of psychological and linguistic ground today.
We really have.
If you are a learner listening to this, you are doing the hard, necessary work of expanding your capacity to connect with the world.
You are actively building a bridge between who you are today and who you are working toward becoming.
You now possess the precise mechanics to discuss a daily habit using soft, humanizing language like trying to and aim.
You understand the sociolinguistic rules of the workplace, knowing how to frame your ambition with working towards, and how to smoothly transition without burning bridges.
And most importantly, you have the emotional vocabulary to articulate your deepest passions.
You know how to share your bucket list and how to use phrases that convey genuine, resonant emotion.
You have traded in those three basic crayons for a complete dynamic set of colors.
The picture you paint of your future in English can now be just as vibrant as the one in your head.
But having the vocabulary is only potential energy.
Right. The final lesson from the source material is about kinetic energy putting it into motion.
We return to the story of the baker who kept her dream a secret because she was afraid of judgment.
The profound psychological truth we explore today is that silence is the enemy of ambition.
When you keep a dream locked inside your mind, it remains abstract. It has no oxygen.
The act of articulation is the act of creation.
Speaking your goals out loud is the very first step in manifesting them into reality.
It's where it all begins.
So we want to leave you with a challenge. Think about that bucket list.
Think about the one big audacious dream that you have kept quiet because you didn't have the words or the courage to share it.
We challenge you to speak it into existence today.
Find a moment, whether you are alone in your room or sitting with a trusted friend, and use your new English vocabulary to bring it into the real world.
Start the sentence with, "It has always been my dream to," and fill in the blank.
Say it out loud.
Give it mass. Make it real. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the language of ambition. Keep climbing that ladder, keep expanding your vocabulary, and remember that no matter how complex the vision in your mind is, you now have the tools to share it with the world.